Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the group view. It's Alejandro.
Yo, it's Carlos.
Your boy Julian, we're back.
What's going on? Matt in the back. I
Damn, my boy confused.
thought you were going to announce me.
What do you mean?
Nah, but the other one sounded good, so we kept it going with that.
All right.
But first of all, look, we want to just say, look, huge shout out and condolences to all the people, all the families that suffered. Obviously, the tragedy that just occurred.
Yeah, that's just terrible, man.
Not just Kobe, not just Vanessa and the Bryants, obviously, but all the other families that were involved. I feel like they've been kind of getting overshadowed by the greatness that was the Mamba. But with that said, obviously, he lived an amazing life, and that also has to be taken into account. That the fact that he was 41 and young, but he lived, like I mentioned to the guys earlier, like he lived a life that was probably better than 90% of most humans would ever live. Yep. And the real tragedy to me was like all the young souls that were lost. Obviously Brian's daughter, and the two other girls that were there as well. So that's the real tragedy. That's sad. With that being said, though, we kind of wanted to touch base like a bit on like human error, right? Because
just a couple ththings in general about the whole thing that happened. Obviously Kobe's legacy, which will live on forever, pretty much.
No, his legacy cemented for sure. But
it's eternal.
I mean, obviously, whenever something like this happens and somebody's life is cut short, especially somebody like him, like who's just known everywhere, you're always gonna say to yourself, like, could it have been avoided, right?
Right.
Because I mean, I'm sure everybody's first thought was, why a helicopter?
Right.
And obviously now that time has passed, everybody has to realize, look, he's flown and he has taken helicopters probably all his adult life, basically.
As a pro, yeah.
Yeah, but he was a pro since like 18, 19, so like basically all his adult life.
He was known for doing that though, right?
Yeah.
Even just to skip traffic.
Well, it was to skip traffic. It was to skip traffic, and it was also because he wanted to spend more time with his daughters.
But it wasn't like he didn't start until like later on in his career.
Right.
It wasn't like in the beginning. Yeah. He did it because he found out that would save a lot of time, and he wanted to spend time with his family. So that's why he started doing it. So he did it for a long time.
Yeah. But, and obviously, and then something we mentioned again a little earlier was the fact that, like, when you're doing something, especially like him, like flying a helicopter for so long and so often, it kind of becomes like just second nature to you.
Yes.
It's like most of us driving to work.
Right.
Like we would never think, hey, something bad's gonna happen today, right?
Exactly.
And that's probably how he felt.
But then again, think about this, right? Sorry to interrupt you, but then again, think about this. We do it, every day, whatever it is, week in, week out. But then on a day that, do you actually question yourself on a day that's, and I'm pretty sure you guys experienced this, where you go out, you get into the car, you can barely see a couple feet in front of you. And you're kind of like, do you actually stop and think about like, hey, maybe, I mean, what are your alternatives? Maybe not go to work, because you're not going to call an Uber and be like, oh, you drive me, when if anything you're.
So I've had time. So living in New York, we have, the pleasure of getting snow. We haven't gotten this year, whatever. But
oh man,
but we
just jinxed it, my boy.
we do get that.
Jesus.
20 feet on Monday.
I've had cars that like you just know your car. You gotta know the same, like whatever, like he knew the helicopter. He knew like that lifestyle and all of that. Like I know my car. I've had cars that I knew that snow, like even a little bit, that's it, is over.
It's terrible, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it's one of the topics that we have talked about it before, that it's like the decision that you have to make is the decision of being like, you know what, that's not worth it. It's just not. You know what I mean? Like me saying, I need to get to work today. Do I really need to get to work today? No.
Or like
a snowy day and stuff, you can easily just say, listen,
take the day off. Right.
I'll take the sick time. Listen, I'm gonna take the day, and that's it.
And that's it.
He could have. Here's where, not trying to. He made the decision. Whoever made the decision, and it is what it is now. All we can do is just talk about, what if. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
So my what if is like, and that's why I wanted to talk about human error, because it could be deadly as it was. That somebody in that helicopter, and we don't know if they did or did not, but somebody could have said, you know what, not worth it. We're just not going to make it to the game, or we're just going to, let's just land around here, get in a car and try to make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ask them to delay it. We have played sports. We have played, and we have had times, at least for me growing up, we have had times that some players were stuck in traffic and we told the ref, listen, can you wait up? And they waited 50 minutes. They waited an hour sometimes.
Right. Yeah,
you know what I mean? So,
and I'm sure being Kobe Bryant, they would have waited.
They would have
like,
waited.
Oh, of course, 100%.
That's for sure they would have
100%.
waited. So here's where human error, here's where we don't know. If Kobe was the one that said, no, let's just go. If the pilot said, no, I got you guys, we're going to make it. It's not a big deal. We don't know.
And
But
again, we're talking about like what ifs and stuff. We're not jumping into conclusions here because at the end of the day, it just happened and we have to wait to see
it happened already, and that's
for the professionals to actually determine what was the cause, and we just don't know.
But here's where we can discuss about it, and we can talk. Listen, sometimes it's just like we got to learn from what people have done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So because I've heard like Kawhi Leonard, there are a bunch of basketball players that they do that.
No, they do it.
Kawhi Leonard, he mentioned that he learned from Kobe how to, just do that. How to, take the helicopter.
I mean, that
will be easier and it'll be faster. So
that's time management. You want to sit. It's kind of like a commute. You want to sit in traffic especially LA traffic. You want to sit in a commute for an hour and a half a day, back and forth. That's 3 hours. 3 hours out of your day. Or you want to head there in 15 minutes and get back in 15 minutes. It's a no-brainer if you can do it.
And not just that, because for them, so like Kobe, what he would do was he would go in the morning, he would work out, come back, take his kids to school, go back, work out again, come back, do his thing, whatever, and then go back and play a game.
He will never be able to do that driving.
No.
I mean, unfortunately.
So that's what a lot of them, like, that's their routine. Right. You know what I mean? So, but here's where we need to, and not just saying helicopters, when people are driving and things like that. Here's
just anything in general.
To learn from it and figure out, what, like, let's say Kawhi Leonard, let's say somebody else is in a helicopter and they see something like that. They see a day that is like that because it's going to happen again.
No, it is 100%.
It's going to be a shitty day like that. Now, that they're going to say, you know what? It's not worth it.
I like that. I like that you mentioned that because now I did like something I just really thought about. Like, what if they did have another day that was like that before and they flew and they made it?
I'm pretty sure. You know what? I'm pretty sure they've had.
That's why I think they were confident.
Right. And so that's what I'm like. I just thought about that when you mentioned because they probably would have another day like that, and they probably have had other days like that, especially considering how long he's been traveling with helicopters.
And especially the pilot. I mean, the guy had 8,000 hours.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I don't know, man. At the end of the day, look, I mean, it's a tragedy. It's sad. But you're always gonna have, especially when somebody's so young and still full of life, and not just him, everybody else there, that it's always gonna leave you that bitter taste in your mouth where it's like, damn.
So thinking like that, right? But let's say
the pilot or Kobe?
No, Kobe. Yeah. Let's say he had seen somebody or somebody close to him that had passed away from a situation like that. Guarantee wouldn't. He
no, 100%. I mean, as soon as you step outside.
So that's what I mean. That's why his was very publicized, and that's what we need to learn from it. And guys need to say, you know what?
Yeah, 100%. Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
because that's a good point. That's a really good point.
That I've heard of. I don't think I've heard of anyone else. And I'm sure like he didn't hear of anyone else that died from. So yeah, you take the risk. Just like anything else, we take the risk. But if you hear, and if it's someone close to you that passed away because of this, that, and the third, you're gonna be like, you know what? You're gonna be more hesitant in making.
100%. Yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, man, like, look, I mean, I just personally feel like in life, like there's certain things you can't avoid, and this is one of those
that you
can't.
Well, he's saying that you can't.
You can avoid it.
I think there's certain things that you can avoid, which is this was one of them. I mean,
no, like I get,
what's
like,
the need?
What's the need
of what's the need of going out there and flying when the visibility it's 2.5 miles? I think they said no more than 3 miles. So it's like, what's really your point of getting out there and kind of you're risking your life at the end of the day? I mean,
now you are definitely, and I mean,
look, after it happened. Then we're looking at it like, oh, you couldn't avoid it, but I feel like you could. I feel like we're giving decisions sometimes, I'm not saying every single time, but I feel like sometimes we're given decisions, and what you decide could be as deadly as that.
Right. And then I feel like you just said, like you just mentioned, we're given decisions, but we're also given, like, I guess in another way to put it, we're given, sometimes there's signs
Yeah.
that, pop up. And sometimes we don't think about it. I mean, we can't be like, oh, shoot, is it a good time to open the door and go outside and go to work? Like, let me just check if something's going to fall out of the sky. Like, we can't, we can't also live our lives like that. But it's like,
Right. But
sometimes there's obvious signs, though.
I'm looking at a map of the trajectory of where he was supposed to go from point A to B, and it has steps lined up, and it shows where he diverted, where he was going from the John Wayne Airport. He departs, and then he hops on. They told him to follow the Van Nuys.
He's pretty much flying downtown.
They told him to go towards the 101 freeway,
right?
And they told him to follow the freeway to the.
But before he got to the 101 freeway, he was circling over the LA Zoo for 15 minutes because there's a certain, obviously LA has like different airspaces and stuff like that.
He crosses 2 airports on his way over.
Right. But that's, it's irrelevant because he's not going to that airport. He's going to his final destination.
But he diverted from the path because of low fog, and then crossed over 2 airports. I'm assuming circling.
Okay.
And then crashed by Calabasas.
You saying he could have
I'm not.
Landed in the airport?
I didn't look up if they contacted the other airports to see if he could land or whatnot. I'm just saying.
From what I've read, he actually never declared an emergency.
That wasn't in the plan.
Yeah. It wasn't in the plan. No, he didn't. So my thing is, like, again, we're kind of just talking about everything that happened.
I'm just trying to break it down because it's like, they said that he rapidly climbed 875 feet.
He did
in
because
less
he was
than
trying
1 minute.
He was trying to
which slowed down the helicopter to about 125 miles per hour.
Right.
And then they said that it sped back up to about 175.
That's when he started. It was like a dive. It was like a dive. Yeah.
This is my question now, because now that you brought speeds into it, you got numbers now. And again, I want to say this with a disclaimer. I'm not blaming him or putting no blame on nobody.
No, we're just trying to break it down. I'm just trying
I'm talking about my opinion. I'm about to state. But my thing is this. It sounds like he was lost. And in my mind, it sounds like he knew he was lost. Why is he flying that quick?
Well, that's what everybody's questioning, honestly.
Like
investigators, I'm pretty sure they're working on figuring that out.
Because I mean, that's crazy. Like I'm sure at a certain point he had to know. Look, all right, I can't see the highway anymore. I'm not following that. And obviously he has a ton of experience, so I'm sure he started going with his gut feeling. But it's like if you know, like for example, like again speaking just from experience from driving a car, if I know like it's foggy, I'll slow down.
Or you pull over.
Because I'll
probably keep driving actually pulled over. Down. I've pulled over.
How do you pull over a helicopter? That doesn't make sense.
You can land. It's called. You can land.
Yeah, but if he's hitting,
keep in mind a helicopter, you can hover.
Fog,
no, but you can literally set the autopilot and you can just hover, right over the same spot. Of course, until he runs out of fuel, which they're not gonna allow that.
Right.
But you can if you don't know where you are.
Low fog though. You gotta remember he had low fog. That's why he was having a hard time following the road.
Right.
But here's where you are a professional.
That's your job.
That's your job. You're a professional.
Right, but
okay?
I mean,
you're really good.
But that happens.
He's good at it. He was good at it.
But this is where you're a professional because he was even an instructor.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're a professional. Practice what you preach. I'm sure in his instructions he will preach about safety and all of that. The moment you see something wrong, you call in and you say, you know what? I need to land. It's not right.
That's it. Something's off. Something's off.
It's that quick. You're a professional. As much as I want to like keep, like just stay neutral and all of that, you can't. You gotta say, listen, you are putting people's lives in your hand. You're a professional. You're
putting your life in your hand.
So you do this for.
But then again, hold on, guys. Hold on.
The New York Times stated that the helicopter had sophisticated instruments on board that the FAA has approved for instrument flight, and the pilot, Ara Zobayan, was certified to fly by them, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But because of limitations on the company, is approved by the FAA to operate when carrying passengers for hire, he was required to fly only in conditions of sufficient visibility to navigate visually.
Wait, so it's over. So he that
No, it's not.
So
over.
he
I mean,
was
this is
certified to fly with the instruments,
right.
only if it's
but-
visible.
but only if it was visible. And I think
So
it's because
exactly what I'm talking
Am I
about.
tripping? So it
And
sounds
I
like
think
he
it's
just
because of a-
completely said, "Let me just."
well, I think it's because the company he worked for had I don't think they were passed by the FAA to fly in those foggy conditions. It was only in clear
so
view.
it's all, so he just said, "I'm gonna just disregard protocol and just do what I do."
But what if
Is that what you're
what if
saying?
he got stuck in it and then like didn't know how to correct it?
You can't, but there's no
Yo, bro,
way.
I mean, I don't know,
Here's
man.
where I'm talking. Here's where I'm talking about. He's a professional. He has done this. It wasn't like he started flying a year ago, bro.
Yeah.
He's an instructor.
But not just that. If he's trying to correct it, I don't think correcting is going 180 miles per hour.
Well, again,
No,
let's
but-
not.
but
Hold
like-
on,
But I
guys,
don't
but-
know if that's
guys.
like the other factors could have been in play with the
for
speed.
for sure, but you gotta think like that.
Damn.
Like I can't say enough that you gotta think like this. Like he's not your average Joe.
No,
Nah, he's not. I
He's
agree
not
with you.
like
I agree with you.
he's an
8,000
instructor.
hours, yeah.
He was really good at his job. He was like,
he's
they all said it. All the celebrities and stuff. Kobe, he wasn't the only one that he flew
I
around.
mean, he flew the
He flew everyone.
Jenner,
He
Kylie
flew-
Jenner,
he
stuff
flew
like
but
that.
that's what
yeah.
I'm like. He didn't just fly. He would instruct others.
Right, he was a
like,
teacher
he
as
was
well.
a teacher. So
Damn,
like
wait.
practice what you preach.
But
I didn't know about that he only had clearance to fly on visibility.
This is
See,
what
that's
the New York
crazy.
Times just stated,
Right.
and this came out 23 hours ago.
I read that
so
as
don't-
well.
I don't
I could
know.
believe
I read
that.
that as well.
Actually, I didn't read that. but-
That's crazy to me. Because it's like, why would you do that then?
And then again, I think like based on this conversation that we're having right now, we're kind of leaning towards the factor of fog visibility, which I mean obviously is a huge factor. But let's not forget that he had the instruments. He was obviously a professional. He was really good at his job. But what if he was actually heading towards the destination? Everything was fine. All of a sudden,
He was.
right, and then all of a sudden, the thing just literally started dropping out of the sky, and he couldn't control it, and he just crashed.
Yeah, well, they
I
won't
mean,
know
we
that
don't- we
until
don't
know that. So
until
think
they
about that,
recover the-
though.
Can they recover the data from helicopters?
So that's the
I don't
thing.
know
No,
if
they have a
they
black
can.
box?
They can, but that particular helicopter, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the company's policy or whatever, that helicopter actually didn't have a black box, which is actually making it harder for
Okay.
NSTB
That's kinda-
for
'Cause,
them
I mean,
to
if
figure
you-
it out.
That's kind of crazy.
Hold
But I
on.
mean, but this then another. So that's a different, because you always give the stats of you're more likely to die driving.
Right.
So then
No,
that
it's true.
defeats, like that takes it away.
yeah.
But then
Like,
again,
yeah,
we can't get we
that's a
can't
lot of-
also get away from that because literally he could be flying and then
No,
we
yeah,
don't know if
something
his
could have
engine
happened.
just
No,
went
you're right,
off
of course,
or
of
his
course.
throttle or
We
whatever
can't-
just
we can't.
went.
But if the evidence and things are right there in front of you, like you can't just
Yeah, no, I
not
see.
think of that. Like it wasn't like it was a sunny, beautiful.
It was
day,
not. Yeah, let's
and
not
he
forget
was
about
just
the
like,
fact.
you know what I mean? Because then you can be like, all right, failure, something went wrong. Here's where visibility is terrible. People are saying the towers is saying.
Although
don't-
keep
but
in mind though, you could be
Here.
flying. Hold on, sorry, Matt. You could be flying on a perfectly sunny day, and what if the same thing happened? His
No, right,
joystick
something could
just
happen, of course. But I
for
mean-
some
No,
reason
but
it
this-
just
but this-
froze or something, and he couldn't control the
but
helicopter.
that's where
And
I
the thing
mean,
just dropped out of the
But
sky.
that's where I
Hold on,
mean
Hold
that
on, hold
you
on.
would think
Let's
about
go
that.
through. Let's go through the steps again, right? Because there's 6 steps. They have takeoff at 9:06, right?
Right.
And then the detour. So route diverges from the typical path. I'm assuming it's from low fog or whatnot, and he probably had to go based on instruments.
Okay.
9:21 a.m., which is step 3. He's circling. Air traffic control tells the pilot to circle to avoid another aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
Right, he had to get a
and
special
at this point,
clearance,
he's hovering. He's right around Glendale.
which is by the LA Zoo.
And then 4, he has the go ahead to Van Nuys Airport approves a turn toward the 101 freeway. So he's talking to air traffic control
whatever, yeah.
about navigating around what's going on so he can circle back because of low fog and
Right.
because of the issue. And then 5, it says that he has signal trouble, which means that a tower says the aircraft is too low to receive guidance.
Right.
And then the crash at 9:45, literally a minute later.
And during that minute, keep in mind, there was no Mayday call. There was no emergency call if you
But
want
how
to call it
can you
somewhere
if
else.
you're going 185 miles per hour straight into a hill? How can
that
he
you
do a
can't
mayday?
see.
That's the thing.
That
that
See,
you
so
can't
this
see.
is my thing. This is now.
That you
Now
can't
it comes
see,
back
yeah.
That
to
you
this.
can't see. The visibility must have been way worse than
So
a mile.
this is why I'm saying
So-
I don't think then that something bad happened to the aircraft.
Exactly.
You don't
Because
think
if
so?
it did,
No.
from where he got too low altitude to where it crashed, he would have gotten on the thing and said Mayday if something bad was happening.
So, but it looks like he's actually following procedure.
It did.
He was following
It did.
procedure
Until-
on paper
Yeah, on paper.
until he got lost in the fog.
I think that's what happened.
That's
He
a
got
real
lost
possibility.
and look, now I'm
They
now I'm
couldn't
just
tell him to
speculating.
just circle and hover.
What?
Well, I mean, they gave him the clearance, but then once he got lost, he didn't check in.
And again,
right?
my
'Cause
thing
they
is
couldn't
this.
communicate.
My
But
thing is
on
this.
his own instinct, or maybe he hit another patch.
Hold on,
maybe
guys.
there was like a spot part, and then all of a sudden he got into more fog.
And then
I
this
don't
is
know.
also another thing. Let's not forget, this is a highly sophisticated airplane, a helicopter. We're not talking about a regular
No,
helicopter.
right,
that's,
right.
You know, a couple $100,000. No, this is worth millions of dollars with a lot of technology in it. So let's not forget the fact that the cruising altitude on this particular helicopter, from what I read, I think it's something crazy like 23,000 feet. So my thing is like, okay, you have low visibility, you have low ceiling, which it was overcast. Not only the fog, I think the cloud level, I think it was something like 1,100 feet, right?
So you think he should?
So-
You think he should have climbed?
Why not? If you want to fly whatever it is, I don't want to get too technical here, but why not go up off the clouds and till your destination and then just drop literally right at the wherever he was going to land at the
Well,
academy?
he
or
did
whatever it
climb.
was.
They said
No.
that he rapidly climbed to avoid
because
a fog.
he found himself in trouble. He was. Why not just stay above the clouds?
But why not land and then just take a car? Why not that? That
probably should.
that's where people. That's where we're missing out the
Yo,
whole
but
point of learning from this shit.
You
Like,
think he was trying to land though? Because I mean, he you said step 5 was
No.
that he got so
No.
low
No, he
he
wasn't.
couldn't
No,
get
he
communication.
was
He
trying
was
to
not-
go back to the freeway.
He was trying to find
to
the
follow
freeway.
the freeway
Right.
to the airport.
But you said he got so low that he couldn't communicate, right? That they lost signal.
Well, he had to be with this type of helicopter. You gotta be at a certain altitude
That's
to
what I'm
receive,
saying.
not to receive and to send out the signal to the tower. So the tower lost him on the radar before a minute before he even crashed.
So what's the point? What's the point of going to 18,000 feet?
So you're staying above the clouds. You're just flying
And then what's he
from
gonna- and
point
then-
A to point B.
And
There-
how much?
there's no
gas-
visuals. There's low visibility. Usually, also helicopters fly that low because they can. So it's like if you can't see anything, if it's completely foggy, why not fly? Why not stay above the clouds?
I don't know. What if they didn't prepare for that and they didn't have enough gasoline to do it? I don't know. I'm just
I don't
throwing
know.
ideas.
Again,
man.
we're
I'm
all just speculating here. We're
speculation,
not
yeah.
coming.
I mean,
We're not
yeah,
jumping to
no, we're not-
conclusions,
well-
but just from the whole picture,
yeah, these are.
I think
things
they
like,
should have. I think they should have just made that call.
If you're
obviously.
gonna go like above and beyond like that, you might
I
as well
don't
just
just
know.
call
Look,
it a
after
day
after
and
that
say, you know what?
New York Times article, yeah, I kind of that definitely.
Yeah, I'm never
swung
going on
me
a
side.
helicopter. So
Well, that's not my conclusion, but that was another. it swung me
Anyway,
a
so
different
let's
way.
before we wrap it up, guys, let's kind of get away from this. Obviously, terrible tragedy. You obviously don't wish this on anybody. I mean, it's just terrible the whole thing around.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about his actual legacy and what
I mean, well, he was a legend. And
I mean,
a beast.
you're a huge.
I'm a Laker.
fan.
Yeah, no, I'm a Laker fan. So I mean, honestly, his legacy is always gonna be there.
Right.
And I mean, I think to me he's the best Laker that ever played.
Yeah.
I agree
Obviously, and I'm looking at it like in terms of longevity, how long he was there, how much work he put in. Because obviously, there's a lot of other people that are nice. People probably say LeBron is better,
Yeah.
but LeBron's only been here for like one season, so you can't I can't say that he's a better Laker because it's only one season.
Right.
But
It hasn't won it.
Well, you're talking about just the Lakers, but what about as a player?
as a player, what do you mean as a player?
Like, how would you rate Kobe?
He's
compared
definitely
to
top
to
three.
LeBron?
Top. Damn, see,
That's
I
the
don't
thing.
know,
So
man.
like you give,
I love-
you give Kobe what a 10?
I love Kobe because again, I'm a Laker
But
fan.
you know,
but I
I
think
feel like
LeBron's
you can't
a better
really
player.
compare because I feel like they're just like all legends in their own way.
They are.
They are.
Nah, they are. But I mean, look, I'll admit, I think LeBron is a better player, but I love
You
Kobe.
think LeBron is a better
I
player?
love Kobe, and I would always take him just because of that work ethic. But I think they both have amazing work ethic.
Amazing.
Well, that's what people
Yeah.
keep talking about. Like his work ethic was like
I mean, that
Second
Mamba
to none.
mentality, man. I mean, it's crazy when you.
it is crazy.
But here's where you gotta then look at their work ethic similar. I'm sure LeBron learned from him and all the stuff that
Yeah.
he did to
Just-
take care of
just
his
like a lot
body.
of
It's like
players-
passing down
Right.
of the mantle because I remember showing you that
Yeah.
Yeah.
video. But it's like Michael Jordan and then passed it to Kobe and then
Right.
passed it to LeBron.
Yeah.
Right.
So here's where then you got to look at work ethic, same type of players, very similar.
Right.
Just beasts. Overall.
Beasts. I mean, they'll literally carry the whole team.
So the next thing is how many rings. Once LeBron gets there to Kobe's level, then we can say, okay, let's see, who's better. That's what you gotta look at.
I probably won't.
You got to look at just like when you looked at Kobe and Jordan. Beasts, worked hard, both same level, but Jordan just had more championships. Jordan was just the god. So
yeah, he was. And then with that being said, too, man, I mean, he lived an amazing life. The life he lived. I mean,
well, the life he lived, but then again, you kind of gotta split his life in two. So he put in all that work. He finished his career, which is great, right? He retired,
right?
But he was starting this second chapter in his life, which is also
it got cut short.
Some people are actually it got cut short, but some people are actually saying that second chapter in his life, it was gonna actually fulfill him little bit more because he was actually more engaged with his kids,
of course, with
and
not just that,
and family in general. Like again, you gotta, obviously for those professional athletes like that, they gotta take a ton of sacrifices and stuff.
But
right, so was he actually really living? If you think about it,
dude, yeah.
Dude,
I think
this
is one of the few guys I think that actually loves basketball, man.
What?
Like loves it.
Oh yeah.
There's people that just do it because they have the talent, but then there's people that breathe, eat, sleep it, and he's one of them. So I think he loved his career, but I think he was happy that he was now getting a lot more time with family. Of course,
I saw some stories on Twitter too that people were throwing out there that he would do things behind the scenes. He would, he would go and help, sick people behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah.
So he was doing a lot of stuff, but he just never put himself in the light.
He was doing what he loved, which was be with his daughters and teach, especially the one that passed away with him, teach her how to play. Yeah, show her. So he was doing exactly what he loved.
But this is the thing. I don't know if you guys. There's an interview out there with him, and he's saying that he's literally stating that this is the happiest he's ever been.
Exactly.
So think about that for a minute.
After his life,
if you're saying, I'm not saying that. Oh no, he had a terrible. No, of course he had an amazing life.
No, yeah.
Right, but an amazing life to like a certain.
I just think it's irrelevant.
You know what I mean? Like you guys. See where I'm trying to go?
What he means about that. So what he meant about that is he didn't miss the part that he's like. Every day at practice, he's shooting like 5,000 baskets. Like he didn't miss. He missed probably like he would say that he missed the games.
Yeah,
but he didn't miss the workouts and
the
all of that craziness of it. Getting ready mentally and all of that. So that's what he means. Yeah,
makes sense.
Once you retire, like you're done with that.
You're done with that.
Just think about it. Like he was doing a lot. Like
he was beasting and feasting.
He was working out 4 times a day.
Game.
No, yeah.
So, like,
and he would work out 3 times a day. It's crazy.
Yeah. But hey, look, how about share your comments down below in terms of your favorite Kobe memory, your Laker memory, any NBA player memory, and like, share, and subscribe. R.I.P. Kobe.
R.I.P. to everyone involved.
Mamba mentality, 24. Lakers, hopefully take advantage.
That would be nice.
Kobe.
I fell asleep watching Sports Center. Woke up on some shit. Gotta appreciate the greats. Got them screaming encore. They just want more. Black Mamba. Got them screaming encore.